Maximizing code efficiency. Best practices for optimizing key existence checks in JavaScript. 1. In operator. Pros. Easy to use. Can check for inherited properties from the prototype chain. Cons. Includes inherited properties, not just own properties. 2. hasOwnProperty. Pros. Checks only own properties of the object, not inherited ones. Cons. If the object has a property that overrides this method, the result might be unexpected. 3. Object. Prototype. hasOwnProperty. Call. Pros. Avoids issues if the object has a property that overrides hasOwnProperty. Cons. More verbose compared to using hasOwnProperty directly. 4. Direct property access. Pros. Very simple and easy to understand. Cons. Cannot distinguish between properties that don't exist and properties that exist but have the value undefined. 5. Object. Keys. Pros. Returns an array of the object's own property names. Cons. Inefficient for large objects because it creates an array of all keys. 6. Object. hasOwn. Pros. Modern alternative to hasOwnProperty. More readable and writable. Cons. Not supported in older environments, introduced in ECMAScript 2022. 7. Object. Prototype. Property is enumerable. Pros. Checks if a property is an own property and is enumerable, iterable. Cons. Not very commonly used, so it might be less familiar. 8. Using map. Pros. Ideal for dynamic key value collections. Cons. Not suitable for simple objects or structured data like JSON. 9. Using weak map. Pros. Useful for memory-efficient key-value pairs where keys are objects. Cons. Keys must be objects, and it's not enumerable or iterable. 10. Reflect.has. Pros. Similar to the in operator but more consistent as part of the Reflect API. Cons. Less commonly used than the in operator. 11. Using try-catch for special cases. Pros. Handles cases where accessing properties might throw errors, e.g. getters. Cons. More complex and typically not needed unless dealing with potential errors. 12. Object. Get own property names. Pros. Returns an array of all own property names, including non-enumerable properties. Cons. Inefficient for large objects because it creates an array of all property names. 13. Object. Get own property symbols. Pros. Allows checking for symbol-keyed properties. Cons. Not useful for checking regular string-keyed properties. 14. Object. Entries. Pros. Checks both keys and values. Useful for more complex checks. Cons. Inefficient for large objects because it creates an array of all entries. 15. Object. From entries. Pros. Useful for creating objects from key-value pairs. Cons. Requires array input. Not a direct check.